Everyone thinks a 4K dash cam is about bragging rights and pixel counts, but here's the thing, resolution is meaningless if you miss the moment that matters because the camera can't handle real-world chaos. The surprising truth? In my week of testing the Rove R2-4K dual across city commutes, late-night drives, and a scorching parking lot, it wasn't the 4K spec that changed my mind. It was the evidence workflow, the night reliability, and how the rear camera actually holds up when things go wrong. If you clicked because of 3 things you need to know, good. Because what I found after 400 miles, 3 firmware checks, and multiple app transfers might save you from buying the wrong dash cam. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you're already leaning yes and want the best current price, I've placed a link below. But stick around, one of my findings could bump this from a nice-to-have to a must-have or a hard pass, depending on your setup. I needed this camera after a hit-and-run in a grocery lot where my old single cam missed the plate. Sun glare, poor night detail, and a sluggish app wasted my time and my claim. So I went hunting for front-and rear coverage that wouldn't melt in summer, could capture plates at speed, and would let me pull clips fast without yanking the card. The Rove R2-4K dual at around 109.99 with a 4.5-star rating looked like YouTube bait, 4K front, 1080p rear. Sony Starvis 2 sensor, GPS, 5 GHz Wi-Fi, free 128 GB microSD, and a promise of 24/7 parking mode if you hardwire. I was skeptical. Dash cams love marketing buzzwords. I've tested units that overheated, corrupted files, or made downloading a clip feel like 2009. The stakes for me. Trust this on my daily 45-minute commute and overnight street parking, or send it back and keep searching. Confrontation testing phase. First, daytime highway clarity. I mounted the front lens center high, rear lens at the top of the glass. The front shoots 3840x2160 at 30 fps with a 150-degree field of view. The rear is 1080p at 30 fps with 140 degrees. Midday sun, reflective plates, fast merges. The Starvis 2 sensor on the front camera did the heavy lifting. Colors leaned natural, details stayed crisp, and at about 2 to 3 car lengths I could freeze frame plates reliably. But then, high-contrast shadows under overpasses challenged exposure. The R2-4K recovered quickly, not instantly. I'd call it confident, not magic. Rear detail was good enough to identify vehicles and plates at low speeds, less precise at highway distances. Night driving is where cheap cams fall apart. Here, the f1.5 front aperture and f1.8 rear help. On a poorly lit suburban road, the front held license plate detail when streetlights were sparse. At close following distances, bright retroreflective plates can still blow out under headlight glare, that's physics. But the R2-4K balanced it better than my last cam. The rear at 1080p gave me usable evidence of tailgaters and brake checks. Not cinematic, but reliable, and that's the point. Next, the app and Wi-Fi. The Rove app connected via dual-band Wi-Fi. On 5 GHz, my transfers were fast. I timed a 300 MB 4K clip at roughly 15 seconds, right near the up to 20 MB claim. That's huge when you're at the side of the road with an officer waiting. But then, the first pairing took a couple of tries and required location permissions on Android. After that, smooth sailing. In-app settings were clear: toggle resolution, bump bitrate, adjust G-sensor, manage parking mode. Firmware updated over the air without drama. Parking mode was the make or break. I installed the hardware kit ASIN B0B7235VLX for constant power and tested all 3 modes. 1 FPS time-lapse, motion detection, and collision detection. Overnight curbside, the time-lapse gave me a clean summary. Motion capture triggered when someone walked past. Collision detection fired when a delivery truck brushed the bumper. The next morning, the R2-4K greeted me with a voice alert that an event occurred, and a 1-minute locked clip was waiting in a dedicated folder. But then, remember, without the hardware kit, you won't get true 24/7 monitoring. Also, route your rear cable carefully. It's thick enough to plan the tuck. Heat test. I left it in a closed car at 95-100 degrees F, 35-38 degrees C. Thanks to the built-in supercapacitor, not a Li-ion battery, there was no swelling, no shutdowns. Loop recording stayed seamless and file integrity checked out on playback using Rove's GPS player on a PC. Discovery revelation: here are the 3 things you need to know. 1. The 4K claim isn't fluff. With the Sony Starvis 2 sensor and a wide 150-degree field of view, the front camera consistently delivered plate-level detail in real driving, especially if you set the bitrate to high. Combined with GPS stamps for speed, location, and a compass overlay on the 3-inch IPS screen, the evidence package is stronger than many cams at this price. 2. The sleeper feature is the workflow. That dual-band Wi-Fi with up to 20 Mbps transfer speed changes the game. I pulled clips to my phone in seconds and shared them without touching the card. The inclusion of a 128GB microSD and support for up to 1 TB means you can run long trips without babysitting storage. The voice guidance and emergency lock add confidence when adrenaline spikes. 3. Parking mode is only as good as your install. Hardwire it, choose the right mode for your environment, and the R2-4K becomes a 24/7 sentry with voice alerts and locked event files. Skip the hardwire and you miss half the product's value. Bonus: the threaded ring lets you add an optional CPL filter to cut windshield glare on bright days, worth it if you drive a lot in sun. Is it too good to be true at $109.99? Not quite. The rear 1080p is solid, not stunning. Night plates can still bloom in direct headlight blast. The app pairing can be finicky the first time. But versus pricier dual setups that hit $200, $300, the R2-4K dual punches above its weight in clarity, speed, and reliability. Now that you know the real strengths and where the compromises land, if you want to lock in the value before prices shift or stock fluctuates, I've linked the best current deal below. Pro tip: also grab the hardwire kit to unlock 24/7 parking mode. That's what makes this system complete. Bottom line, I recommend the Rove R2-4K dual for commuters, rideshare drivers, parents with teen drivers, and anyone who parks on the street. If you demand 4K on the rear camera or advanced driver assist features, look elsewhere. If you won't hardwire and only want basic driving coverage, the front cam alone is still strong. Just know you're leaving protection on the table. For most people, this is the sweet spot: real 4K where it counts, fast evidence when you need it, and parking protection that actually works. The hype is pixels, the win is proof.